After more than 30 years in medicine, I've seen firsthand how the right choices can add vibrant, healthy years to your life. But I've also seen how seemingly innocent habits can silently steal that vitality away. And one of the biggest culprits is hiding in plain sight, right in your grocery store's freezer aisle. Many of my patients are shocked when I tell them that certain frozen foods are actively working against their health, accelerating the aging process from the inside out. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain. We're going to uncover the frozen foods that could be silently damaging your health. And more importantly, I'll show you the 4 that I personally recommend to help you thrive well into your golden years. In my practice, I've helped thousands of seniors navigate the complexities of aging, managing conditions from high blood pressure to cognitive decline. And a recurring theme in these conversations is diet. So often my patients tell me, "Dr. Clark, I'm trying to eat healthy, but I'm tired, and cooking is a chore." They turn to the freezer aisle for convenience, not realizing what they're truly consuming. The problem is that many of these ultra-processed frozen meals are engineered for a long shelf life and addictive flavor, not for your long-term health. They are often packed with excessive sodium, unhealthy trans fats, hidden sugars, and a list of chemical preservatives that can put an immense strain on an aging body. These ingredients are directly linked to worsening memory, inflaming painful joints, and putting your heart under dangerous stress. It's a serious issue. Some studies suggest that nearly 1 in 3 seniors consumes these types of foods on a daily basis, completely unaware of the negative impact. They may blame their fatigue, their brain fog, or their aching knees on just getting older, when in reality, their diet is a major contributing factor. It's a hidden problem, but the good news is that once you know what to look for, you can take back control. All right, let's get right into it. The first frozen food I urge my senior patients to avoid is the classic frozen pizza. I know, it's a staple for a quick dinner, especially when you don't have the energy to cook a full meal. It's easy, it's comforting, and it feels like a treat. But from a medical standpoint, that cardboard box contains a triple threat to your cardiovascular health. The primary villain here is sodium. The amount of salt packed into a single serving of most frozen pizzas is staggering, often containing more than half of your entire recommended daily intake. Now, why is that so dangerous? I want you to imagine your arteries are like a garden hose. When you're healthy, water flows through it easily at a normal pressure. But when you consume excess sodium, your body retains extra water to dilute the salt. This increases the total volume of blood in your bloodstream. Now, you're forcing more fluid through that same garden hose. The pressure skyrockets. That is high blood pressure or hypertension in a nutshell. It forces your heart to work much harder to pump blood, straining the heart muscle and damaging the delicate lining of your arteries over time, which can lead to heart attack and stroke. I had a patient, let's call him Frank, a wonderful gentleman in his late 70s, who came to me complaining of persistent headaches and occasional dizzy spells. His blood pressure was consistently high, despite being on medication. During our consultation, I asked him to walk me through his weekly diet. It turned out his easy dinner 3 to 4 nights a week was a personal-sized frozen pepperoni pizza. He thought it was fine because of the portion size. We looked up the nutrition label together, and he was floored. His small pizza contained over 1,800 milligrams of sodium, well over the 500 milligrams recommended for someone his age for an entire day. He was overloading his system night after night. I challenged him to swap his frozen pizzas for a simple homemade meal for just 1 month. The change was remarkable. When he came back for his follow-up, his blood pressure had dropped by 20 points. His headaches were gone, and he said he felt a clarity he hadn't in years. That's the power of removing these sodium bombs from your diet. So I ask you, when was the last time you looked at the sodium content on your favorite frozen meal? The second category to clear out of your freezer is just as common: frozen fried foods. This includes things like breaded chicken tenders, fish sticks, onion rings, and French fries. Again, I understand the appeal. They are designed to be crispy, savory, and incredibly convenient. But the health cost is far too high, primarily due to industrial trans fats and the inflammatory oils they are cooked in. Trans fats are created through a process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid oils into solid fats to increase shelf life. On an ingredients list, you'll see this listed as partially hydrogenated oil. Medically speaking, this is the worst type of fat you can eat. It acts like sticky sludge in your circulatory system. It simultaneously raises your bad cholesterol, which contributes to plaque buildup in your arteries, and lowers your good cholesterol, which is supposed to help clear that plaque away. It's a direct path toward atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries. Furthermore, these foods promote chronic inflammation throughout the body. Let me tell you about another patient of mine, Barbara. She suffered from terrible osteoarthritis in her hands and knees. She was taking medication, but the pain and stiffness were constant companions, making it hard for her to even hold a coffee cup some mornings. She told me, "Dr. Clark, this is just my life now." She had resigned herself to it. When we reviewed her diet, we found she relied heavily on frozen breaded fish fillets and chicken strips for her protein. I explained that the processed oils used in these products were like pouring gasoline on the fire of her arthritis. Inflammation is the body's natural response to injury, but when it's constantly triggered by the food you eat, it becomes a chronic, body-wide problem that not only worsens joint pain, but also damages organs and tissues over time. We work together to replace those fried items with simple, baked or grilled options, like frozen wild-caught salmon, which is full of anti-inflammatory omega-3 south. Within 6 weeks, Barbara reported a significant decrease in her morning stiffness. She said she could finally make a fist without wincing. It wasn't a miracle cure, but by removing the inflammatory trigger, we allowed her body and her medications to finally do their job properly. The third item on our list to avoid might seem obvious, but its danger is often underestimated: frozen pastries and desserts. This includes everything from frozen pies and cheesecakes to breakfast pastries and ice cream novelties. These foods are the ultimate comfort treats, a sweet reward at the end of the day. The problem is that they are loaded with hidden sugars, which send your body on a dangerous metabolic roller coaster. When you eat one of these desserts, you get a massive, rapid spike in your blood glucose. Your pancreas then has to work overtime, pumping out insulin to try and manage this sugar flood. This leads to the inevitable crash an hour or two later, leaving you feeling tired, irritable, and often craving more sugar. For a senior, this cycle is particularly damaging. Over time, it can lead to insulin resistance, the precursor to type 2 diabetes. But the danger isn't just metabolic, it's cognitive. Think of your brain as a high-performance engine that requires a steady, stable supply of fuel. These sugar spikes are like flooding that engine. The high glucose levels can contribute to inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain, damaging delicate nerve cells and blood vessels. This is a key reason why studies have shown a strong link between diets high in refined sugars and an increased risk for cognitive decline and memory problems. I had a patient, Margaret, a sharp and witty woman in her early 80s who was deeply troubled by her worsening brain fog. She would forget names, lose her train of thought mid-sentence, and felt a constant mental haze, especially in the afternoons. She was terrified she was in the early stages of dementia. We went through her daily routine, and it all seemed fine until she mentioned her nightly ritual: a single-serving frozen apple crumble. It was her little indulgence. We calculated the sugar content, and that small dessert had over 40 grams of added sugar, far more than the American Heart Association's recommendation for an entire day. I explained the sugar roller coaster to her and suggested she swap it for a bowl of berries with a dollop of plain yogurt. 2 months later, she came into my office with a clarity and energy I hadn't seen in years. She said, "Dr. Clark, it's like a cloud has lifted from my mind." She hadn't needed a powerful new drug, she just needed to get off the sugar roller coaster. Finally, the fourth and most pervasive category I want you to be wary of is the broad world of processed, frozen meals. I'm talking about the all-in-one dinners in a plastic tray, the Salisbury steaks, the sweet and sour chicken, the fettuccine alfredo. Their biggest selling point is ultimate convenience, a complete meal you can heat up in minutes. However, to make that possible, these meals are often stripped of nutrients and loaded with artificial preservatives, flavor enhancers, and fillers that can wreak havoc on your digestive system and contribute to a state of frailty. The core principle to understand is this: you are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. An aging digestive system is often less efficient, and it is highly sensitive to the chemicals and additives found in these meals. Ingredients like sodium phosphate, modified corn starch, and artificial flavors can disrupt the delicate balance of your gut microbiome, the trillions of healthy bacteria that help you digest food and absorb nutrients. When this ecosystem is thrown off balance, you can suffer from bloating and discomfort. And more importantly, you fail to extract the vital vitamins and minerals from your food, even if the label claims the meal is enriched. I worked with a patient named David who was experiencing this exact problem. He was losing weight and muscle mass, feeling perpetually weak, yet he swore he was eating 3 full meals a day. His meals, however, were almost exclusively of the frozen dinner variety. He was eating, but he wasn't getting nourished. His body was being starved of the real, high-quality protein and micronutrients it needed to maintain muscle and bone density. We immediately switched his plan. Instead of a processed tray, his freezer was stocked with simple, single-ingredient frozen items, bags of spinach and broccoli, fillets of plain cod, and packages of grilled chicken strips. His new convenience meal was a fillet of fish, a cup of steamed vegetables, and a scoop of microwavable brown rice. The ingredient lists were short and understandable. The transformation was incredible. Over the next few months, his digestion improved, he stopped losing weight, and he started to regain his strength and stamina. He was finally giving his body the building blocks it needed. So when you're in the freezer aisle, I want you to ask yourself, does this look like real food? Or does it look like a science experiment? Now, I know that might have sounded like a lot of bad news. You might be looking at your freezer with a sense of dread, but I want to be very clear. I am not asking you to abandon the freezer aisle. In fact, when used correctly, your freezer can be one of the most powerful tools for maintaining your health and independence. It's not about avoiding convenience, it's about choosing the right convenience. So now, let's pivot. We're going to talk about the frozen foods that I actively encourage my patients to eat every single week. These are the items that can truly help you build a foundation of health, supporting your brain, your heart, and your joints. The first, and perhaps most important, item on this list is wild-caught frozen fish, particularly fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. This is a true superfood for seniors. The reason comes down to two magic words: omega-3 fatty acids. These healthy fats, specifically DHA and EPA, are potent anti-inflammatory agents. Remember Barbara and her painful arthritis? While the fried foods were fanning the flames of her inflammation, omega-3 South do the exact opposite. They help to extinguish that fire. This can lead to a noticeable reduction in joint pain and stiffness. But the benefits go far beyond your joints. Your brain is made up of about 60% fat, and a large portion of that is DHA. Think of omega-3 South as essential lubrication for your brain's complex wiring. They help maintain the fluidity of your brain cell membranes, which is critical for sending and receiving signals. A diet rich in omega-3 South is strongly linked to a lower risk of age-related cognitive decline, sharper memory, and better overall brain function. And for your heart, they are miracle workers, helping to lower triglycerides, reduce blood pressure, and decrease the risk of heart attack and stroke. When I advise my patients, I tell them to be specific at the store. Look for packages that say wild caught. Wild fish have a healthier, more natural diet, which results in a higher concentration of those beneficial omega-3s compared to many farm-raised varieties. And check the ingredients. It should just say salmon or cod. Avoid anything that comes pre-seasoned or in a heavy sauce, as that's where the high sodium and sugar hide. I had a patient, Susan, who had a strong family history of heart disease and was terrified of following the same path. Her bad LDL cholesterol was creeping up, but her triglycerides were the main concern. We made a simple plan. Twice a week, she would have a 4-ounce portion of frozen wild-caught salmon for dinner. It was easy to prepare, just a little olive oil, lemon, and dill, baked in the oven. 6 months later, her lab results were stunning. Her triglyceride levels had dropped by nearly 40%. The sense of relief and empowerment she felt was palpable. She wasn't just waiting for a bad outcome, she was actively and easily building a healthier future for herself. The second category I want you to stock up on is frozen vegetables. I can't overstate this enough. Bags of frozen spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, peas, and green beans are your best friends for healthy aging. Many people wrongly believe that frozen produce is nutritionally inferior to fresh. In reality, the opposite is often true. Fresh vegetables are often picked before they are fully ripe and then travel for hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles, losing nutrients along the way. Frozen vegetables, on the other hand, are typically picked at their peak ripeness and then flash frozen within hours. This process locks in the vitamins and minerals, meaning that cup of frozen broccoli might have more vitamin C than the fresh head that's been sitting on the grocery shelf for a week. The two main benefits here are fiber and a vast array of nutrients. Fiber is absolutely critical for senior health. It helps maintain digestive regularity, which can be a common issue as we age. It also plays a vital role in controlling your blood sugar by slowing down the absorption of glucose, preventing those dangerous spikes we talked about earlier. And it feeds the good bacteria in your gut, supporting that delicate microbiome that is so essential for proper nutrient absorption. Then you have the micronutrients, the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that protect your body's cells from damage, a process known as oxidative stress, which is a major driver of aging. A patient of mine named George was diagnosed with prediabetes, and he also struggled with chronic constipation. He found cooking vegetables to be a chore, so he rarely ate them. My prescription for him was simple: George, I want you to add 1 cup of frozen vegetables to your lunch and 1 to your dinner. That's it. He started adding frozen spinach to his scrambled eggs and a cup of mixed vegetables to his soup or pasta sauce. The added fiber worked wonders for his digestion within a week. More importantly, at his 3-month checkup, his blood sugar levels had stabilized so much that his doctor told him he was no longer in the pre-diabetic range. It was a life-changing result from such a simple, convenient addition to his diet. The third powerhouse food you should have in your freezer is a bag of frozen berries. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, they are nature's candy, but they are also potent medicine for your brain. The vibrant colors in these berries come from compounds called antioxidants, particularly a group called anthocyanins. I like to describe antioxidants to my patients as your body's personal security team. Every day, your cells are under attack from unstable molecules called free radicals, which cause damage or oxidative stress that accelerates aging and contributes to chronic diseases. Antioxidants are the bodyguards that neutralize these free radicals, protecting your cells from harm. This is especially important for your brain cells, which are highly susceptible to this kind of damage. A diet rich in berries has been consistently linked in major studies to slower rates of cognitive decline and better memory retention in older adults. They are also packed with fiber and are naturally low in sugar, making them the perfect, guilt-free way to satisfy a sweet craving. Remember my patient Margaret, who felt the cloud lift from her mind when she gave up her sugary dessert. Her replacement was a simple bowl of frozen mixed berries. It satisfied her desire for a treat while actively flooding her brain with the protective compounds it needed to function better. The fourth and final item I recommend is high-quality frozen bone broth. This might be a new one for some of you, but it's an ancient food that is incredibly beneficial for senior health. As we age, we face two significant challenges: the loss of muscle mass, a condition called sarcopenia, and the breakdown of our joints. Bone broth tackles both. It is a fantastic source of easily digestible protein, which is essential for preserving and even rebuilding muscle. But its unique benefit comes from collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. It's the primary building block of your skin, bones, and connective tissues like cartilage and ligaments. You can think of it as the glue or the scaffolding that holds your body together. As we get older, our natural collagen production declines, leading to stiffer joints and more fragile skin. Sipping on bone broth is a wonderful way to replenish this vital protein, supporting joint health and mobility from the inside out. When you shop for it, look for low-sodium versions where the ingredient list is simple: bones, water, and perhaps some vegetables for flavor. It makes a wonderful, warming base for a quick soup with some of those frozen vegetables we just talked about. So how do you put this all into practice? Here is what I tell every patient. First, when you pick up a box in the freezer aisle, use my 5-second label rule. Immediately check the numbers for sodium, added sugar, and look for the words partially hydrogenated oils, which means trans fats. If the numbers are high or you see those words, put it back on the shelf. Second, build your plate simply. Aim for half your plate to be those frozen vegetables, a quarter of the plate to be a healthy protein, like that wild-caught fish, and the last quarter for a healthy whole grain like brown rice or quinoa. And remember, frozen vegetables and fruits are often cheaper than fresh, and you'll have zero food waste, making it great for your budget. Now, it is crucial to listen to your body. If you are experiencing certain symptoms, it could be a red flag that your diet, particularly one high in processed foods, is causing serious harm. Be on the lookout for sudden, unexplained weight gain or swelling in your feet and ankles, which can be a sign that your body is retaining fluid due to excessive sodium. Pay attention to a significant increase in forgetfulness or brain fog that isn't normal for you. And of course, persistent joint pain or digestive distress. These are not just normal parts of getting older that you have to accept. They are warning shots from your body telling you that something is wrong. Please do not ignore them. Call your doctor and have a conversation. I hope this has empowered you to look at your freezer in a new light, not as a minefield, but as a source of incredible health and convenience. If you found this information helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel for more weekly medical insights to help you live a longer, healthier life. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which frozen food on the worst list surprised you the most? Next week, get ready, because I'll be revealing the #1 supplement mistake I see seniors make and how to avoid it. Thank you for your time, and be well.